Uh, Hello and welcome everybody to the first session of Entrepreneur Roundtable hosted by Mainstage Hub. This is the first round of conversations which we will have with uh, entrepreneurs who are running high velocity startups. The space which we will be discussing today is around retail and e-commerce and how this space has evolved over the years and how our entrepreneurs have been instrumental in shaping this space and bring it to the next level. So today we have Vipul Jain who runs DegPeg. We have Vittal who runs Kreate. It's an e-commerce platform, and we have Pavan Panchamukhi who runs RDep. So we will, without wasting much time, we have already lost a lot of time in the on internet challenges. I call upon stage Vipul. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself and then we do the rounds? And since it's an entrepreneur roundtable, over to you, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks a lot, Debashish. I hope everybody can hear me out loud and clear. Great, thanks, guys. So, hi, my name is Vipul Jain. I'm founder and CEO of DegPeg. It's going to be my third venture in itself. Before DegPeg, I co-founded Stock and WhatsApp Group. In TechPeg, we are solving the problem of the new age commerce or the new commerce which has arrived. It is video commerce or say live streaming commerce in itself. So we have created a cloud-based live commerce platform, and the power of this particular product is to do a multi-streaming right from your brand.com or right from your e-commerce store to the connected social platforms to the connected marketplace platforms in itself. So that's the achievement, and we are at this moment working with various enterprises in India and abroad. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you so much, Vipul. Vittal, a quick introduction about you and Create.
Yeah, correct. Perfect. Thanks a lot, everyone, and thanks, Devashish. So I am the founder of Create. Create is a marketplace for creators, enabling them to sell directly to consumers. Now, these are physical, tangible products what we focus on, and we have started our journey in 2020. We have gone a little over 11,000 creators so far on the platform, and now we are growing month on month. So that's in a nutshell of what we do. Primary audience are independent creators and the new D2C brands which are emerging in India. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Vittal. That's a very interesting platform. Pavan, why don't you come on stage and introduce yourself and our depth?
Thanks, Devashish. Hi, everyone. My name is Pavan, founder CEO of RDep. The problem we are trying to solve is the problem at the store, problem at the time of purchase. So we're trying to basically create a platform to allow the seller and the buyer to interact, engage, and transact through the journey of the shopping. So we are currently working with few retailers here in India, few abroad, and yeah, we are in the scale up phase of our life. That's about it, Debasis.
So wonderful. Thank you so much. Since it's an entrepreneur roundtable, the job of the moderator becomes easier. So I hand over the mantle to Pavan to take this conversation forward. We will do rounds. We'll, we will take one question, do rounds in amongst the table, amongst our speakers, and then we go on to the next question.
Yeah.
We will be happy to take questions from the audience if there is any, and you can type your questions on the chat box or raise your hand, and Sven will let you in. Just to let you know, we are also live streaming this on YouTube, so so you have a larger audience as well. So Pavan, over to you.
Thanks. So it's good to kind of be part of a panel which is talking about retail. Predominantly, of course, it's more of the online retail, the e-commerce, the the marketplaces, and things like that, and that's what gets spoken, most of the time because that's what is happening. So in that context, what I thought we should probably hear from you both is what do you think is the role of the offline retail in the so-called retail which is very strongly moving towards online. I mean, everything seems to be happening online. So, what's really the offline going to do now? Or what does it even have a role? Or if it has a role, then what kind of a role should it play? And what is its future? So, I think that will be a good beginning for us to kind of start the discussion. Vipul, you want to take it?
Yeah, yeah, sure, Pavan. There are two things. I have the opinion that both of them has their own market share, online and offline. What I have seen in my experience in itself, there are certain things which are strong and solid in the offline business, and there are certain categories who are very strong and solid in the digital side of it. That said, I feel that there is going to be a space for everyone, whether you are pure digital or whether you are pure offline or you are in a hybrid model in itself, for this kind of a ecosystem which is creating right now. um, so this is what I have seen, and of course, as I mentioned, that there are certain categories which is unreplaceable, like in any category, like in any segment, whether online or offline side of it. What do you think, Vittal?
No, absolutely. You were spot on, Vipul. From the time we have started Create, as much as we believe that there's enough online penetration in the markets, people still want that relatability to a personal touch. So that is something which we see not just in tier two or lower cities, but primarily in the tier one cities itself. People want to come. We have our office in Bangalore, Banerghatta Road. You just won't believe there are sellers who are selling on our platform, visiting the office. They want to talk to a person. Okay, now these are the people who are making sales. They want to understand how is it for them in the future. So there are some things which also takes us by surprise when we assume that everything is turning digital, but we also believe that they want to stay connected. They need that humanly presence from our side as a representative. So that is something which I feel would be how it is going to go, especially when you look at Byju's as one example from the edtech side, right? So they were ruling the roast on the online side when it comes to the edtech segment. Now they are slowly adopting the hybrid model, online plus offline. So that would not mean that it is the end of schools. So it would be a curriculum based on online plus offline. I think this is the adaptation what I see in similar markets too, going for us. DegPeg is one thing which definitely I am closely watching, and I had a similar question to him, Vipul, in the next part. So that is my opinion. Thanks.
I think that's good. So, I just have I mean, I will not say a slightly different opinion, but probably adding on to what both of you were saying. I think the lines are going to be blurred, moving ahead. The online and the offline both are going to merge. So there is no question of whether you're going digital or not. I mean, I think everyone will want to go digital, whether you have an offline store or you want to go the marketplace or go online. But I think the lines are going to be so blurred that the customer experience probably is going to be one of the most important things moving ahead. As in, how does that measure when between the different worlds? How is it online, how is it offline? So I guess it's that kind of a situation we are moving into. And maybe that's one of the things I wanted to ask is, has this happened because of COVID, or was it already happening? That's a question. So obviously a lot of businesses were got a lot of benefit because of COVID. I mean, a very sad thing to say, but that is how it was. But having said that, there were lots of businesses and lot more businesses who suffered because of COVID. So did COVID really accelerate the digitization process? Did retail drastically change in the last 2 years? What is your thought on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pavan, I'll say definitely COVID is once in a lifetime or a once in a lifetime event in itself. So I feel that it will going to happen again or not. Okay, that's means or something similar like this is going to happen or not. Okay, but yes, it has definitely give a different dimension altogether in front of the retailers. Okay, so definitely it act like an a catalyst. Okay, in transformation side of it. Okay, where we expect the growth to comes like 2x or 3x. It has actually accelerated to 8x or 10x. Okay, so that is the first thing which I have seen. The second thing which I have seen is is that there is a new age of
We are losing you, people. Maybe Vittal, you can.
I'll just quickly hop on. So I think rightly, as you mentioned, it has provided 8x or 10x of growth. The time COVID hit everyone, people were actually wondering what to do next. At that first lockdown, if you can take a hint out of, people started to understand that there will be slots defined, by the government to go shop for yourself, something which was unheard of before. So those things brought into the new age of delivery of groceries, your quick commerce, an entire new industry opened up because of this. I would say it was a massive shift due to which multiple things have opened up. The biggest beneficiaries are the quick commerce one, and anything related to retail, where people could now understand that pre-COVID, there was a situation as to people would ask, why do I need to sit at home and deliver stuff, right? Now, oh my God, it's been 11 minutes. This startup did not deliver to me in 10 minutes. People complain at that range today. So I think there has been a massive shift in the thought process of a consumer. People want everything to be quick. Refunds are much more accessible when you look at it that way. And also from a retail perspective, as a retailer, if you look at it, the retailer himself or herself is completely in the digitalized way. So the accessibility to UPI, online payments, all of those things have given him multiple aspects entirely. Yes, COVID definitely pushed these things much faster way, as Vipul already told, 10 times more than what we had anticipated. But this is here to stay. It's not going back from here on.
People, you were saying something. You didn't finish. You wanted to complete.
No, yeah, it's all like the digital stuff. But yes, there are two things which I'm just, I think so might be I'm repeating. One is the pace that the way the transformation happened due to COVID. That's a one thing. And the second thing is that digital is something in during COVID times. It is established that digital is something which none of the business can ignore, and that is a kind of a mandate to have in their kitty, because times like COVID might come again. Okay, so at that time, if you're not prepared, okay, the kind of a business losses which happened during COVID, there is very high possibility that for the businesses who have not adopted, will going to very tough to survive in such times in itself.
Understand? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what has happened. I mean, COVID has really accelerated things, but it's not that things were not happening. Things had started moving, and people realized that they were late in the transformation, the digital transformation, which people wanted to do. So tell me one thing. In that context, I mean, you started, your ventures uh, in the retail space. Uh, what was the reason? I mean, why did you really get into this space? Was it triggered by something, or and of course, when you speak about starting on your own, obviously there are a lot of challenges, and then of course, COVID came in, so it would have definitely affected to some extent, in some way, perhaps. But you still went ahead and you have persisted in the last 2 years since COVID happened. So how has that journey been, and what would you really want to kind of do in this space, in the retail space, moving ahead? Vipul,
So,
sorry.
Pavan, yeah, okay. So first thing is that we are hardly 6 month old company. Okay,
Correct.
so
So all the more reason,
that's the
perhaps.
first thing.
Yeah, all the more
Yeah,
reason to ask
right.
you that question, because why did you do this during COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you why live streaming shopping actually excites me. There are two key reasons for that. First key reason is that it has a human element into it. Okay, when you're doing a live broadcast, okay, it is not a machine which is talking to humans. It is a human who is talking to humans via our platform itself. So the human element is one key reason, and the second key reason for us is that content is growing. Content is playing a very huge role in the sense of engagement, retention, and the revenue. So as and content cannot, and in a place like India, where there are 28 or I think like more than 51 languages. Okay, and people understand, the language changes from state to state. Okay, the culture changes, the food changes, the environment changes. So in such a diversity, okay, if you're restricting your content with the without having a regional flavor or without having any such kind of a thing. Okay, so that's the second most thing which I've seen, which excites me the most in this kind of idea. Okay, where we are talking about that you can do anything and everything in itself. And the third thing which exactly excites me in this idea, okay, is that our idea is purely talking about camera on, shop on. Okay. So in another way, I'm completely disrupting the cataloging process in itself. If I'm going to assume, okay, a creator, like in case of Vittal, okay, a creator who understands the product, but they can speak in their own language. Okay, they don't know this language called English. They don't know how to click a picture, what to click, what not. And I'm actually just giving them a very simple solution. Just switch on the camera and start talking about a product in itself. Okay, and that too across platforms. I think so. It gives them more comfort. It gives them go to market in a very quick time in itself. Okay, and they can, as there is no restriction on the content, there is no language restriction on the content, there is no regional restriction on the content. They can, the product owner can talk in detail in itself before a consumer will going to buy the product in itself. Okay, so
So
these are
are
the
you
three.
saying, Vipul, sorry, are you
Yeah.
saying that, is this kind of a replacing the AR technology? Because, and you're saying it's going to be better because of the human touch. Is
Okay, so
that?
yeah, so okay, so here is the thing. First is that AR is an as far as I know, okay, or the knowledge which I do have about AR, it's also a kind of or format of content only. Okay. So all I can say is that this kind of a product which we guys are working upon is I feel it is more powerful in sense it is as I said, I think so. These are the three reasons which I said is very aligned with that. And again, when you're talking about AR, you need to create that space or you need to create that content. In our case, you don't need to.
Yeah.
Whatever you are, you just switch on the camera. Like for example, right now we are in this round table in itself. Okay, I'm dead sure. Like none of us have actually prepared like as a content for this broadcast in itself. We all are talking what we have experiencing or what we have experienced so far. Okay, so this is a strong proposition which I want to pass on to sellers. I want to pass on to the product owners in itself and give them the freedom to talk at length to the consumer who is available on social platforms or marketplace platforms or their own brand.com.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Vittal, what is your take?
So Vipul has covered most of the points,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but
So
your why have you really taken this plunge, especially in the retail sector, and how has COVID really affected?
So when we started off, it was that first lockdown, which happened. So we understood that there are a lot of communities out there. There was a huge surge in creating standalone websites and stores. So the biggest challenge you face that side is visibility, right? You still have to do the heavy lifting in terms of visibility of your own store or something. So this is when we thought, a lot of creators need a place where their creations are identified. You know, it's not about pure retail, because I know the topic is of retail, but we are exactly on the other side of the spectrum. So we do not encourage retail trade on the platform. We don't allow reselling to happen on the platform. All the products which are being showcased are from the creators themselves. So when this digitalization which started off, people wanted visibility. At the end of the day, every seller wants a sale. It's as simple as that.
Correct.
So what we are enabling, what Vipul or any other platform are these enablers, correct? So these focuses on the conversions or how much sales you can do, or what is the wide reach you can have. So this is something which we wanted to choose as a path of bringing in the depths of the Indian market onto the surface. This is how we started off, and so far we have covered a little over 200 locations across India where we have a lot of sellers coming in. So we understand that with the right mechanism and methodologies, for sure, with the advent of technology as well, we can penetrate to the depths of the market and at the same time address their problems as well.
Right.
So this is something which we believe as one driving force every day. All the team members, just come with one vision in mind, that due to this whole platform, there's one more seller who is sleeping peacefully due to the
So,
visibility.
but how do you differentiate yourself with the marketplace?
We are a marketplace, so
You are a marketplace.
we are a pure marketplace.
But
We
if
are
you're
a
not
creator to
allowing
consumer.
transactions to happen on your platform, then how would you kind of uh, what is that incentive to the seller to come over
No,
if there is no?
so we allow transactions to happen on the platform, but
Okay.
these are not standalone stores, right? So it's a
Okay.
pure marketplace. So
Okay.
if, let's say example, I am buying, we are spread across multiple categories. If I am buying a clothing from a creator in Bangalore itself, close to my vicinity, and this is custom made. Most of the products on our platform are custom made, typically make to order, so they are not selling out of shelf. Okay, so what happens is when they buy a product on the platform, what goes along with the clothing part, whether it's personal care, skincare, automatically gets started recommending to them. So these are the things which drives a buyer to actually increase his shopping cart. So this is something what we focus on, and uh, truly believe that marketplaces actually can make a difference in this way.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So where are you going from here? I mean, you have
Yeah.
the marketplace, you have the sellers now
Yeah.
hopping on to the portal.
Yeah.
People are, creating their spaces, if I can use that word, and
Yeah.
then starting to transact. But, where are you going from here? Where are the sellers going from here?
Yeah. So there are multiple touch points as problems for a seller, be it standard e-commerce platform or they're doing through their own retail trades, right? So they have multiple touch points. It begins from literally cataloging, what Vipul mentioned. Now, cataloging is one aspect. Then comes the sale. Before that is the visibility. Later on is the supply chain. Correct. That itself is another ocean to discuss on. So how do you handle logistics? Then comes packaging. Finally, you have the customer relationship, order fulfillment. There are multiple touch points which is not seen directly from an overview, from a seller perspective I'm talking
Right.
of. Correct. So these are the things which we want to address one by one for sure with
Okay.
the advancement of technology, and we want to make it as seamless as possible for somebody who wishes to do it either as a hobby or as a full-time business. That is something which we intend to do.
Okay. Okay. Vipul, what from, where do you go from video?
Okay.
What is the future here?
Yeah. So first thing is that video in itself is a future because there's a lot to do on this space. Is an entirely new vertical. Uh, Now coming, what we're gonna do it on top of it. Okay. So the answer to this is data. Okay, we want to work on the data side of it in coming days in itself, and as I said, make this proposition more global, so that cross selling or cross commerce is something which you want to do it up in coming days in itself. So as I said, video in itself is entirely a new domain, but to on top of it, I think so cross commerce and the data are the two key things which you want to work in coming days in itself.
Have you, I mean, ever thought of, how you could actually make use of this video? So there's so much of video which is getting, shot. There is so much of content which is getting digitized and documented. I don't know whether you archive all of that, but there is so much of data. And of course, right now, probably, if I understand it right, it is used by the store people. The store staff is using this and trying to sell to customers, through their own hand phones. And that's how it is happening. So,
So see, there are a variety of things in itself. Okay, like for example, right now this same broadcast is broadcasting on YouTube as well, right? Now, if you know this particular thing, which is can be watched on AirMeet, and the same thing can be watched on YouTube. Okay. Now, the data points like which is more engaging, where the more audience is coming. Okay, the data points like daytime, day partitions, the data points like transactions are more happening on Facebook or Instagram. Okay, or whether it's your own brand.com. Okay, so there are a lot of data, in variety of ways in itself. Whether we are talking about language, whether we are talking about platform wise, whether we are talking about day parting, whether we are talking about the content creator, also the host in itself. Okay, or we are whether we are talking about the category based business in itself. So data has like variety of scope in this particular segment in itself. And as I said, this video in itself is in new. Now connecting it with data, you are talking about a mammoth.
understood, understood. So, Debasis, we are actually waiting for any questions coming up. Otherwise, we will keep talking, and we will never realize. So, if there is anything, please do come in.
So yes, so we don't have any questions, but I have a flurry of questions to all three of you.
Okay.
Now, you know, all of you are in the space of creating an innovation, at a level of a creation, at a level of an engagement. And your kind of engagement, one is a video engagement and one is a physical engagement. Like one is RDep is physical engagement, video engagement is DegPeg and created engagement. What will it take to put all of them together and bundle it? And how can we futuristically think about this? I mean, at the end of the day, you guys are the people who are pushing the future, right? So the question you asked, Pavan, is very rightly said, but I want you guys to think a little more futuristically, in the sense like, okay, let me give you a context around it. 10 years, 15 years back, physical shopping is an emotional engagement, right? So it went on to e-commerce. The emotion part got cut off because it was pure static content in front of you. Your price started determining the, the buying decisions. Video commerce started bringing that emotion back,
Right.
right? Now next, what is next? What I'm trying to say is that what is missing is feel and touch. Is there some substitute, something which is happening in the tech space, are you aware of, which you can throw some light on? I will probably start with Vipul and then take a round on that.
Yeah, I know a couple of hardware startups who are working on this space in itself. Like but yes, not as a as a as a really a concrete name comes to my mind. But I know a couple of people who are actually trying to solve this. The we used to call it as the sense problem. Okay, that there are four senses in our body, so they are actually working on that part in itself. And when this is going to be established, then definitely it's entirely a new, you can say, kind of shopping which is going to evolve. But yes, at this moment, as far as I know, they are at a very very preliminary stage in itself, and a lot to do on that particular side of it. That much I know about this.
Right, right. In fact, this is something which Vittal, please, over to you.
True. I think when you look at addressing the markets, I we believe that there are multi layers in the current market in India alone, right? So if we are targeting the video segment now, just a thought which came into my mind was these video segments are very good for people who understand how to sell online, can enable the technology to use for their for their sales. That is something which is an enablement for them. Now, what we are looking at is also multi layers below that. People who still don't have access to come and directly sell to the consumer. You still talk of six agents in between making a sale to those people. Now, I believe there would be that time where, of course, players like us and others in the market, which would try to bring those markets on top, try to convert them into regulating the whole process of e-commerce or online sales. That is going to take some churning out. At the same time, there will be various touch points like what Vipul and Pavan already mentioned as to where in that journey would more conversions or that emotional touch is going to come into place. There are multiple startups working on the try and buy model using AR. So you need not now wait in the trial rooms. You just have to stand in front of the mirror, choose which dress, and it defines how you look at. So there are multiple solutions coming in, but everything would essentially look at how it makes you feel better as a consumer and how it addresses the basic pain points of a seller. This is something which we look at.
Yes, I think that's another very interesting perspective. Thank you, Vittal. Pavan.
Yeah, so I think bringing in all the aspects of shopping, uh, as a part of the seamless experience for a customer digitally. Maybe we are still quite some way uh, for the some time to go before we reach there. But I'm sure what's going to happen till that time is a lot of as Vittal was mentioning, there are so many different layers. Basically, there are so many different segments, different types of customers, different types of products, different areas, different regions, where the expectations are pretty clear. What they expect, what they want. So if you can start with that, like if people have started with video as one of the catering to one of the senses of shopping. I want to see, at least I want to see, if not anything else. So there is some process which has started there, and I guess that's how it's going to be for some time. And if you can kind of now we already have the e-coms where they allow you to buy and return it in without asking questions. So which means basically you have not only seen the product, but you have even touched and felt it before you decide whether you want to buy or not. So I guess people are trying to do different things. That there is a cost of doing all these things. Like the return itself is a huge burden on the e-com industry or in the retail industry. But I guess that's the cost of trying to come as close as possible to the shopping experience to be provided to the customer. So I think this will keep happening. But yes, the more technologies come together, it's going to be better. It's going to be a great experience for the customer. And I think customer is whatever said and done is the king. I mean, and customer needs to be pampered. Customer needs to kind of feel like going and shopping. And if that is going to happen, and if the retailers are going to provide that in some way, I think we are in moving in the right direction, and we need to do that. So there is no one specific answer right now who's going to do what. No, I think there's still some time to really talk about that kind of a Spielberg kind of a scenario. But I think we are getting there with AR and VR coming in, video being thrown in there, and of course whole lot of other things what we do, as RDep, in-store engagement, what we are trying to do, trying to constantly engage, uh, like what probably even Kishore Biyani did, through Big Bazaar, setting up a bazaar in a modern city, trying to bring in that kind of a scenario. So if there are challenges, I think people have already taken up a lot of these challenges, and people are bringing different kinds of innovations, whether it is technology or operations. But I think it's happening, and we will see a lot of stuff. Vittal mentioned about the AR, the magic mirror, what used to be, and now, of course, the AR for to help people, do the trial room using technology. So I think this is bound to happen, and this will be there. I think the challenges are going to be, people mentioned much earlier about the supply chain part. Vittal also mentioned about it, and how the supply chain is going to be so critical. So even for the stores, when you talk about the supply chain, it's about not whether what I'm selling, whether it's looking good or not, but whether I have what the customer wants. And that's one very important thing. And that's where I think a lot of these AI engines have come in to figure out, as to what sells, what doesn't sell, and then what sells at what time, what sells on what day, to ensure that the retailer is ready with that product at the right time, for the right customer. Because opportunity to sell, I think, is something which the retailers wouldn't want to miss. The retailers are working on very thin margins, so there's always going to be a balance, because a lot of technology means higher cost, much lower margins. So I think that journey will be at a pace, where I think the market itself will kind of balance it right.
Right. Well, I will reserve my questions for the audience to ask. Anybody from the audience who has a question, can you please raise your hand or type it on the message? I will be happy to post it to the speakers. Um, so while the audience is doing so, how do you think? It's a probably an unrelated question. Probably will get related as we progress. How do you think the metaverse is going to affect the concept of shopping?
Well, that's what you asked earlier. I mean, that's the Spielberg talking out there. So yeah, it's a virtual world, and I think Vittal mentioned about that, how in the ed space, the education space, afterlife or second life, these kinds of things have been happening. It's not now; it's been happening for the past, I think, if I remember, even 10 years ago, these things were being experimented. So, I mean, I think it's just a matter of time when this will happen, and it has to happen. We will move ahead. It's just a question of who adopts and how much they adopt. because it's finally the balance of cost versus experience.
Right, Vittal.
Yeah, totally. I think metaverse, I know, is more of a buzzword these days, but you already see the Gucci, Pradas of the world who are actually setting up their own systems there, right?
Right.
So they now these are the people who are targeting that cream of the cream layers. Got it. So, like Pavan already mentioned, everything then falls down to the cost aspect. So, how much can the cost be taken as a burden from a consumer side and also on the retail side? So, only those people would be able to leverage this much more efficiently, at least for the next couple of years. And then I think it is all a wait and watch for us to see
Yeah,
how it's going to start.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Vipul missed the question. Vipul, the question was about how do you think metaverse influencing physical consumer shopping or consumer engagement as we progress?
No, definitely. This is. I'll say this is a thing to watch. Okay, it is like a lot of people used to say for other things. Okay, that it is so early to talk about, and you know how people are like going to see or explore this particular opportunity in various other ways and same way, I also have a version because at this moment I think so we are trying to understand metaverse, okay, and what are the various use cases, okay, I mean what category of the business it is very successful or what category of the business is not, okay, and things like that, okay, how it can be utilized or how can be used in an efficient way in itself. So I think so at this moment, I'll say we are at a listening mode or we are at a research mode in itself for metaverse. And then after that only I think so after a certain period of time in itself, when we're going to see certain things on happening in that ecosystem, then only we can actually we as a company in itself can come out on that space in itself. But yes, it's a it's in our watch list in itself. Okay, but yes, it's still not concrete on what to do and what not.
Right. Thank you so much, Vipul. I think it's an interesting perspective to keep a eye out, not ignore it completely, because that's sort of, as data shows that today's Gen Z is spending 61% virtual and
Yeah.
39% physical, which
So,
used to be.
I'll tell you just one interesting thing which I'm observing nowadays. Okay, and this is like a data in itself which talks about. Okay, like people are actually spending a balanced time between digital and non-digital world. They start seeing a kind of things which is happening which are not very healthy and fruitful for the next gen in itself, and they started having the early warnings for that, okay, and adopting the new gens platforms in a different way. So an interesting thing to watch in coming days how this mix of the people who were a part of the transition from offline world to the digital world to the next gen people who are pure player digital people, okay, how they will going to create a world, okay. It's an interesting thing to watch because we have started seeing some disadvantages also of the digital world, okay, and we cannot ignore that. So it's an interesting place to watch.
Yes, true, Vipul. I think it's what you're talking about is the difference between a digital native versus a digital immigrant. Myself, and probably I will venture to add Pavan, we both are clearly digital immigrants. So, uh, and it's interesting to see. I think more for the digital immigrants how they are coping up with this digital, I would say, onslaught rather than anything else. We are not getting any questions yet, so I don't have any more questions. Pavan, Vittal, Vipul, if there is any other point we might want to discuss, happy to have that conversation, or we can have one last question from me and then we can say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, I
Maybe
guess
I think one thing which we missed was, I don't know if you saw the advent of Airtel 5G, which was introduced, and Kapil Dev was there as the holographic presentation,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
that's something which would be a good part, also from the marketing standpoint when you look at it.
yeah.
The adaptation is something which is new, and with 5G coming into the foray, I think that is something which is definitely to look out for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. In
Yeah,
fact, my that question was that last question was about digital avatars, which actually is more of a metaverse concept, but is also now done on a hologram technology.
right.
So it will be interesting to see how these two technologies which one sort of sweeps retail more, the hologram technology or the metaverse digital avatar kind of a technology.
Yeah.
So what's your take on it? Maybe
If you ask me, I think I feel uh, retail, as an experience for a customer is way beyond digital. At least as of now, even with the Gen Z, they want to go out there. They want to see things in the real world. They may still end up buying digitally. They may still go and check it out in different places, but I think that experience is not going away for some time. So the technologies need to kind of wrap around that and not build a parallel universe
Yeah.
yet. And I may be wrong completely. I obviously not the Gen Z. We are, as you said, we have adopted digital worlds, but but that's how it is, and I think that's how I think at least.
So I think one interesting point which I also wanted to mention was, you might have heard of the term revenge tourism, right? So
yes.
people flocking all destinations after the lockdowns were all opened. So there was an event which was happening recently, and that was event purely as revenge shopping.
Yeah,
You know, you don't do digital shopping. We all visit. That is a 100-member event. All 100 members go visit the mall and shop. This is an event. So you will have that segment of people also
yeah.
who are not going to protest the digitalization, but would rather brush aside the aspect time and again just to stay connected to the real world. That is going to happen.
Yeah, it will happen. So again, it depends on the type of product, perhaps. What kind of merchandise is being sold. If you're talking about the regular day-to-day items, I think maybe digitization is going to be of use, and people will adopt that. But you're talking about things which are where you really want to kind of experience and enjoy. I think those segments, when you talk about fashion and apparel, I think people will still want to go there and check it out. But when you talk about the groceries, monthly groceries, yeah, people may still think, okay, fine, then I can go ahead and buy without actually being there.
True,
Vipul.
true. Vipul, what's your take on and probably this will be a last question. Last.
So as I said, like I'm still keeping everything on my watch list. That's the best answer I can give right now. Because as I said, I'm still exploring what to do, what not. Okay, being in digital world since long. Okay, whether I want to create or want to part of a digital avatar or digital metaverse or not. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I'm at a very nascent stage because, as I said, uh, I lived this life. This is the third time which I'm building it up. Okay, I've know the consequences of both sides of it. Okay, so it is the side which I'm going to choose in coming days. That's a question. So I'll just leave with that caution only. If if anybody going to ask me, okay, as a personal opinion, okay, I'm a very natural guy. Okay, I am not at all a digital guy. So I don't know how I'm going to take metaverse kind of a thing, okay, to me and to my family. But yeah, that's the. I'm still, as I said, still I'm keeping an eye on to it.
Right. Great. So we still don't have any more questions from the audience. Um,
Yeah.
Anybody has any questions? We will wait for a minute. Well, I don't think if you really want to come forward, raise your hand. You can, Sven will invite you to the stage. Um, if not, we will end the session. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being on this session. Very insightful. Great to know what you guys are doing in your business and how you're pushing the future. Thank you so much, Pavan, for moderating this. Vipul for coming. Vittal, great to have you here. And thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
And we
Thank
can
you so
all
much.
probably do some amount of networking back onto the table, um, and then have a great week ahead. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Devashish.
Devashish.
Thanks, Vipul.